Hello, my name is Justin Larshite, and this is week 4 discussion video on group performance and intergroup conflict. So here we go. I really found this week's video to be a lot more interesting than the reading. Last week I found the reading to be a lot more interesting. However, this week the video was really, really fascinating, and what she talked about in regard to intergroup conflict and how we act how we act within a group. How it's strange how we as a group tend to be more hostile or abrasive, or when we as individuals are a part of a group, we tend to act within that group structure or context. We tend to act more abrasive or hostile towards other groups and towards other individuals. It was so interesting how she touched on the fact of when we engage in a group context and it's a hostile environment, or we're projecting a hostile emotion towards another group, that we tend to lose focus on our moral compass and our moral guidance. That really was fascinating, in how we kind of just assume the identity of the group. That was really, really poignant, and I can see that a lot of with the examples that she used with how polarized our political climate is nowadays, and our global situations that are happening. It's very apparent that there's a lot of intergroup conflict, and we don't act in a way to handle the issues and not be as hostile and abrasive in groups. And like she pointed out, that's not all the time. That's just some of the time. But what her research has shown is that intergroup conflict can really happen quite a lot. And when it happens, it can totally destroy the group dynamics, and how that group can operate with others, and also how the inner members of that group will interact with each other. That was very fascinating. The fact of what we need to do in a group setting to try to mitigate that tendency, that psychological tendency to act as a group per se and assume that group identity, is to refrain from thinking as a group and think as the individual. The individual decision making and the individual emphasis on how would you act in a certain situation, not how the group would act, but how would you act, was very poignant. That made a lot of sense, and it gave me a insight into some ways to combat the aspect of a hostile group tendency, and the way that our psychology manifests within a group setting. So that was very interesting. It was cool at the end of the video how she spoke about, are we all doomed just because we're social beings and we're destined to be in groups and whatnot. That was cool too, because it's not like it's all dread and doom and gloom, but there is hope, and we can act better, and we can treat each other better, and we can be more considerate and kind. And then by doing those types of things, and as she said, thinking as an individual and having and retaining your moral compass within a group setting, will help the group steer towards a more conducive outcome that is positive and healthy for everyone, not just within that group, but how that group interacts with other groups. So that was really cool. As I said, the readings, were very interesting. The individual decision making and a couple of the other things were pretty cool. But as I said, I felt that the video was a lot more poignant and hit home more. The study that she did was very fascinating. I think that's really cool how you can actually